Okay, this is the Young Perspective podcast episode. We're going to be talking about the experiences we've had growing up as quote-unquote Indian, more specifically Mohawks of the Bay of Quinte, Indigenous, Kanyongeha, whatever you want to call it. So, I'm here with...
I'm Chloe.
I'm Shaya.
Shaya's our guest speaker, and we're going to be just getting good perspectives, good topics. Alright, so the first topic we're going to discuss is our personal experiences growing up and whether it was culturally involved or not. So,
Do you want me to start? Okay. So first of all, we all attended QMS,
yeah.
which is located on Mohawk territory.
Yeah.
So one thing growing up, I wasn't 100% like totally culturally involved, which I wish I should have been. I still experienced some sort of culture growing up in QMS due to the fact we still got to learn our language, learn about traditions, and more so like the perspectives of that kind of schooling area. But
which you wouldn't really get if you went to like any other
school. Like if you were like a Native person going into like a Belleville school.
Yeah. They
would probably provide you some information, but it's like the stuff that's required to be in the curriculum.
Yeah, it's like Quinte Mohawk definitely was. It has to be much more culturally involved because it's on the reserve.
Mm-hmm.
But I also think to a certain point, it's not culturally involved enough.
Yeah, no. It's very, not sugar-coated, but it's very, like, just the basics of
Minimal.
what your culture is. Not the full, like, details. I feel like they do dimmer it down to, like, just the more simple stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, growing up there, I felt like, now that I'm older, I realize it was kind of just, like, the same thing over and over again. Like, we didn't really progress in our learning of the culture and language and practices and stuff like that. It was all, like, the same thing from a certain age to the rest of it.
It just got more, like, what is it?
Repetitive?
Yeah, repetitive and just, like, we got to learn the language, but I don't think I learned how to form, like, a sentence in Mohawk until, like, grade 7.
Yeah, that's true. A lot of the stuff wasn't, like... I'm not gonna say it wasn't significantly important to the culture, because anything's, like, important to the culture. It's just whether or not they teach it or taught it in a way that would have the kids involved, which a lot of the time I feel like they only did it because
they were
it was mandatory.
Yeah.
Okay, growing up for me, I was definitely very culturally involved, which I'm very thankful for. I'm very, very, very happy with the way I was taught and what I learned. But I got that a lot from my own family, and especially what Chloe mentioned about the schools. They were only culturally involved to a certain point.
Mm-hmm.
So they didn't provide like the teachings, the ceremonies, not all of it, not the complete of everything. So growing up for me, it was nice because I was taught in my family all of these stories and all of our ceremonies and our practices and our songs and our ways of giving thanks that now when I grow up I can
carry it on type of thing.
Yeah, I can carry it on. And it's like adapting to like my current environment at Eastside, which is like still sort of culturally involved, like still
it has a lot more aspects than any other school in Belleville, I believe.
Yeah, it definitely
it's very
does.
connected towards Indigenous people.
Yeah, definitely. Which is nice because you don't see that a lot in actually any of the other schools.
Mm-hmm.
There's some programs I know actually for a fact when I was leaving Centennial, they were trying to implement a program that was similar to the gathering space. And I think it was Troy that was there, and he was trying to get pizza for everybody and was like, oh, the native kids, come here. So I went in there and I got some pizza. But, I don't know, it's like, it's nice to have that cultural connection, but it's kind of hard sometimes when it's not always the proper things you're being taught.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm thankful that I grew up culturally involved. My mom taught me a lot. My mom also went through a lot of stuff herself to learn that knowledge. So being able to grow up like that is definitely a privilege because of how it's starting to go a little extinct nowadays. Like, it's starting to become a little harder.
Older people that used to be the ones to teach haven't really kept the train going necessarily, I feel like. Like, they're very desperate for people, like, on the res to keep things going, I feel like.
Yeah. Alright, what about you, Shai?
I didn't grow up very culturally involved.
Go ahead.
I didn't grow up very culturally involved at all. I wish I had, because now there's just so many things that sometimes feels overwhelming to be like, I want to be more involved, I want to get into this, I have passions for this and that, but it's overwhelming not knowing where to start. So I wish I had grown up more culturally involved. My mom, actually, when I was like very little, when I was a baby, she was way more involved than she is now. She practiced a lot of medicine. She followed a little more things like that traditionally, and then I think it just faded off as I got older. For some reason, she just kind of gave up on it, and I feel like it's pretty prevalent in our community. I think that's just how it is with a lot of people. Like, people are so desperate to like have people learn, like they want people to be more involved, but I think there's just like a decline of people who are teaching, and I think it's difficult to be involved if there's nobody to show you what to do.
Yeah.
And I think it can be overwhelming for some people if you just don't know where to start and you don't know who to go to.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's also another thing is that staying culturally involved is like, it can be difficult. It definitely takes work, and whether people want to put in that work or not, it's up to them. But that's definitely where you see a lot of the loss of like traditions and stories and stuff like that. But yeah, it's definitely a lot harder nowadays because so many of our elders are going to pass away. Like, there's not much of a population that still carries that like organic and original knowledge.
Yeah. Basing off of what both Shia and Ella said, I was gonna mention how growing up and I wasn't being culturally involved, being like some activities at school would be like basing off of what your clan is, and I have an indigenous dad and a white mom, and in the Mohawk culture, you follow your clan after your mother, and since I didn't go to Longhouse, I didn't go through the process of like bears adopting me into their clan, I fully like just disregarded the fact that I have a clan type thing, and that really got to my head. But yeah, I wish I was more culturally involved within like more so the actual ceremonies in Longhouse and stuff, but I did grow up like learning how to like fish with my dad, clean fish, and I watched a bunch of deer cleaning as well. We never harvested any like hide or anything, but we did keep the meat and harvest it and stuff, but nothing too insane like that.
I think that's also good though, because it's stuff like that. It's like those smaller acts of like giving thanks and like respecting what you catch and stuff like that. That's also a part of the traditions and like culture. So I think it's like a broad and like overbearing statement saying you didn't grow up culturally involved, but your environment and like the people you're with and like your community, that all reflects off of you as you grow. So it's like there's no way that you don't have at least a little bit of the knowledge and experience, which is good. I think that helps a lot of people start their path to becoming more knowledge and like, you know.
But also like sometimes I feel like it can be kind of a competition. Do you know what I mean? Like people are like, I'm more culturally involved, so I'm more native than you.
Yeah. Like I go spearing more times a year. Like, what do you know about? Yeah, it's stuff like that too. It gets to people's heads. But like stuff like that too feels very connecting. Like I love fishing. I've gone spearing with my mom a couple times, and I love cleaning fish with her. It's just like little stuff like that. It just helps you feel a little more connected, even if you're not like fully immersed in it. It's just little things like that that can help you feel more confident in your identity if you feel like you don't really know where you are.
All right, and that sort of leads us into our next topic on identity. Have you ever had difficulties with your own self-identity, and how have you overcome them?
I've struggled with my identity quite a bit. I'm still in the process of accepting who I am. I'm a white passing, I consider myself a white passing Indigenous person, so I wouldn't really assume that people would know I'm Indigenous based off of my appearance. I've struggled with my identity a lot because of the way that I look, and I'm not very culturally involved.
Okay, so we moved places because the raindrops were
very obnoxious.
Yeah, they're getting kind of crazy.
We left off with Shai talking about her experiences and her identity. So,
okay. I've struggled a lot myself as an Indigenous person. I consider myself to be white passing. I think most people would. I don't think anyone, just based off my appearance, would assume that I was Indigenous. I've struggled a lot with comparison to other Indigenous people just because of how I look and how I was brought up, not particularly culturally involved. And as I'm older now, the age I am, I'm struggling a little bit with the other half of my identity. I'm both Mohawk and Ojibwe. I'm Ojibwe on my dad's side. He's from a reserve in the reserve is called Curve Lake. It's in Peterborough. That's where he's from. I'm not sure if he grew up culturally involved. I don't have much of a relationship with my dad where I am now, so I haven't had the chance to ask him about how he was brought up and kind of like where he comes from as a person. But I think as I grow, I would like to connect with that part of myself, as well as continue to connect myself with the part of the culture that I'm surrounded by currently. I just like to further that education where I am and discover my Ojibwe identity as well.
I think that's really good, because a lot of people don't want to take those next steps to being involved and knowing, and especially in your case, you have so much you have to learn. You've grown up so much more indulged in the Kanien'kehá:ka culture rather than Ojibwe.
Yeah.
So when it comes to learning that other part of you, it's definitely a lot harder. But it's good. It's good that you want to learn, because so many people don't, and that's how this sort of disconnect to the culture is so prominent.
And there's probably a lot of people in like similar shoes as you that just see no point of it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, they don't want to grow up to know their culture, where they come from, And so that's what creates the barrier of keeping traditions and language alive.
Yeah, because
people just not willing to put the time and effort into
yeah,
doing it.
because I think for a lot of people it might be easier to just like know you're indigenous but not really practice or learn or seek like education. But for me, that's not what I want. I want to be involved. I want to do all the things, and that's really important for me. I think it's important to know where you come from and know what it's all about, and it's medicine, it's healing to know who you are, especially
Yeah, no, I get it. Yeah, no, I get it. I totally get it. It definitely is.
Yeah, especially because of the history of our people, it was taken away from us forcefully. So I think it's important for us as youth to
jeopardize the like importance of
yeah
keeping it and not necessarily like ignoring it.
Yeah, like I think
like it's a privilege for us now.
Yeah.
Rather than people back then who had the motivation to learn it and want to learn it, but then they weren't allowed to do so.
Yeah, like it was just their way of life and it was taken away. It was the only thing they know, and now we get the chance to relearn it and be a part of it. And I think it's important and it's crucial for people our age to know.
Especially, for this next generation. It's going to be, like, detrimental to the survival of our traditions. So, whether we make the choice to go ahead and learn it and have that motivation to understand and get that knowledge, then it's really our responsibility.
Yeah.
So, whether we do that or not, the fate is in our hands.
Yeah. I think we just all need to have a very open mind and be willing to be taught.
Exactly, yeah. And I also can relate to, obviously not, I think I'm like purely Ganyo. Oh. I think I'm purely Ganyo-Geha. Like, I think I'm purely Mohawk. I don't.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's probably been some crossovers over, like, a long time ago, but at this point, I'm indulged in the Mohawk, like, language, knowledge, traditions, all of that. That's what I learned. And, I think it's definitely hard, like what you said in the first part, being white passing, but knowing that you're indigenous, like, when it comes to being surrounded in a community with other people that have this stereotypical, like, look to them of, like, that indigenous character or, like, you know, features and stuff like that.
And I feel like it's very, like, jeopardized in, like, TV shows or movies, as well as, like, the stereotypes. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's more so, it's, like, negatively, like, shown in TV shows. I mean, the ones that I've seen, maybe. But, like, there is very much still a negative talk around indigenous people.
Yeah.
Like, even though it, like, things have been more positive around cultures and stuff, I feel like people still view it as negative and, like, attention seeking and stuff like that.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's another thing. It's like, you have all these people, you have all these standards around you as an indigenous person, and it's so hard to have, like, this secure self of identity, or this secure sense of self-identity when there's these different viewpoints of you all the time and what you shouldn't do and act like. So when you're constantly surrounded by that, it's hard to be confident in who you are.
Yeah.
But I think working towards that and knowing and understanding, like I definitely have been, I think the most major part is being white passing, while my parent, or well, more specifically my mom, is like has that stereotypical indigenous look to her. It's hard, but I think I'm definitely learning to accept myself the way I am, whether that's indigenous looking or not. Stereotypical, obviously.
Yeah.
But I'm I know I'm well versed in the knowledge. I know the culture. I know the language. So whether or not I look the part, I know I have the knowledge and the teachings to act the part. You know.
Yeah. Beautiful. Beautiful. Yeah.
All right, going back to stereotypes, a big thing that really needs to be discussed is like where we live, the reserve, and the way people behave on it, and how that sets sometimes a negative light or a good light, whatever it is. It's definitely something that needs to be addressed.
So one thing that I believe is kind of more, I don't know, not sort of expected, but I feel like people just believe that they can do anything they want here.
Yeah.
I mean, it does kind of seem that way, but I think it stems from the fact that, like, the cops just don't want to deal with us. You know what I mean? Or the res, or what's going on in the res, because it's all useless, and it's like
getting
gonna
pushed
happen.
aside.
Yeah, it's gonna happen again. Like, all these people, all their delinquents, and
yeah,
they're just ripping stuff out, basically.
And that definitely doesn't help our case of trying to get that, like, legal attention to have these cops and people who should be there to help us actually help us, because that's when people, like you said, people already do these things, so it sets that, like, precedence for expecting the worst, you know? So it's like they go into it with the mindset of why should they help when they know it's just gonna happen again. But I think it's definitely, as a community, we definitely need to work towards, like, overcoming these behaviors, because we are already set as a disadvantaged area with what has been, like, been the stereotype of what reserves are. So, like, we really as a community need to be able to move forward and, like, understand that some of the behaviors that we're doing right now, and like like altercations and stuff like that, like, they need to be controlled. This needs to be moved forward from, because we're working so hard to already get past that stereotypical reserve image.
I did hear that they're trying to get, like, rehab centers here. I heard a little word about that. I don't know if it's true, but
that's good. We
like,
really need that.
Like, rehab centers here, so we can actually help community members instead of putting them away somewhere that's not gonna help them, but more so when they get back here, they're just gonna do the same things. So more so keeping them involved with the community and, you know, the land that they grew up on.
Yeah, that's the only way. That's the only way we can address them, is face on. We can't. Nothing can be pushed aside, because that only creates this cycle of, like, the very hard to break cycle of, like, trauma and substance abuse and stuff like that, because it's just so accessible here that it makes the rates much higher, and then it makes it ultimately, like, much harder. Yeah, much harder to deal with. So. Okay, so one of our next topics we wanted to talk about was how growing up in the community, like, affected us, and how that's changed the way, how that's altered our perspective and morphed our perspective to how it is now, and how could it be different from other places.
Okay, so I think our community is very much involved with connecting others. Like our community still throws events. Like, we've been hosting the powwow for, like, ever. Like, ever since we were really young. So that kind of brings our community together, but not only, like, with other communities coming here and experiencing that, and all just kind of getting together on the same level, basically. And the community also offers, like, I don't know, events, like, how do I put that, like,
the daycare.
Yeah, the daycare. We still have, like, summer camps for young people, as well as, like, sports still get hosted around here.
Oh yeah,
like,
there's lots
a lot
of
baseball. So I don't think that connecting with other community members is necessarily a difficult part for around here. I think it's fairly easy to get involved with people that have knowledge.
I think that's very true. I think us as a community, like growing up, a lot of us kids now, we're such a big, everybody knows each other. I don't think there's any kids on the reserve that haven't grown up at least hearing of another kid's name or at least having a play date with them at least once. So it's like the community is very like involved. Everybody's very, very connected with each other, which is nice because in a lot of other communities and bigger places and cities and stuff like that, you don't get that sense of connection. So as we grew up, like, our perspectives are definitely more of it's kind of like before we make decisions, we think of others first. We're definitely a lot more selfless and put others before us. I think that's definitely one of the ways a lot of us have grown up, because that's one of like the main things of our community is like the amount of time and effort we put into coming together and celebrating our culture and stuff like that. And same with like the powwows and stuff. I think that's also a super major part, like you were saying, that really reflects how we are as a community, because that has been passed down for like the powwow and doing all that stuff has been passed down, especially like within my family, because my grandma was the one that used to do most of the setting up and getting vendors, so she was one of the main like planners for it. Seeing that being passed down from generation to generation, especially because my sister's probably going to be one of the people that do it now, it's nice knowing that we still hold those values so close to us to keep something that significant and community involved and stuff like that, like, relevant. So I think it's really nice, and I think that we've grown up in a way that really makes us mindful. We're very mindful. We're able to be collaborative. We share ideas. I think it's good. It's definitely, we're good in partnership. That's one of the main things that came out of growing up on the reserve, is everybody's so involved.
And also gives a chance for like small businesses and whatever, like at the powwows or even at the Mohawk Fair, to sell like homemade like traditional items, or just, you know, stuff like that. It gives a light to the culture and, you know, people that might be self-employed and stuff like that.
Yeah, because it also like invites other communities, like surrounding communities like that, to enjoy our traditions as well. All right, so finally we want to talk about a topic maybe that's a little controversial, but we're gonna be discussing. No, I meant discussing.
I'm keeping that in.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I'm sorry.
No, okay, listen. We're gonna be discussing. I'm sorry. Discussing. We're gonna be discussing pretendians and our feelings on them. Okay. Does anybody want to go?
I'm sorry.
I go. You haven't talked in a minute.
Oh God, I'm lost.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
Like, I don't really know. I think it's just, I think I'd like to see a lot less ignorance. Like, I think it's just complicated, because no matter what, if you're Indigenous, you're Indigenous, but I think part of it too is also caring that you're Indigenous, instead of just saying, oh, I have a band card, I have a tattoo on my back or whatever. Like, I think no matter what, I think it's still important to address issues and be involved and try to educate yourself and just be open-minded and be
respectful, basically.
just like have respect for where you come from.
Yeah, definitely. And honestly, pretending is such a broad term because it can be used in so many ways. I mean, when you think of pretending, you think of like a white person pretending to be indigenous.
Yeah.
Which is sometimes, in some cases, that's not true. Sometimes it's just people who only utilize their quote indigenousness when it comes to benefiting themselves.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So when you see people like Shai was saying who aren't not culturally involved, but who aren't even like putting in the effort to at least have some understanding of the knowledge and try to benefit or utilize or weaponize even their indigenous identity. It's really frustrating because you see so many people in the community who are trying to reconnect and who are trying to be more culturally involved and culturally sensitive and practice like the traditions, and you have people who basically undermine and not put in the same effort that some of the others are. So it's like, why should they have the right to do that when I've been learning all the stories, I've been learning the songs, the language, but they get all the same benefits that I do, that I put in the effort for, but they don't.
And it's like not saying that like a full white person can't be immersed in the culture. That's 100% okay. I believe like you could be white and enjoy the culture, but you have to be at a standpoint where you recognize like where you stand, basically. Not in a way that you not in a way that you I don't know, just like you know your identity and you just
like you can see the boundaries.
You find the balance between where you stand and like I don't know, you could just like the culture. I don't think culture should be a very territorial thing. Like I feel
exactly.
if you want the knowledge and you want to learn more about it, there shouldn't be nothing stopping you from doing that.
Definitely. And I think that's super true, that a white person definitely can appreciate the culture and like be immersed in it, but it's all about understanding where you might cross the line. You need to see those boundaries and you need to respect them. First of all, you need to respect them. So whether you do that or not is kind of like the definition, or like the defining line between pretending and
just appreciating the culture.
Exactly. Yeah. But I think going back to what Shai was saying on like not being culturally involved enough, a lot of people use that, the band card or the tattoos or the, I don't know,
hairstyle,
corny hairstyles or way of dressing even, to just, it's an expression, it's a much more, this is gonna sound bad, but lazy form of expression of your own culture. If you're just dressing like that to show people that you're indigenous, but have that like ignorant mindset towards not even trying to understand the knowledge or like not even putting in the effort, then that's where it becomes a problem, because so many people have fought for that and fought for the right for you to learn this and learn those stories and stuff, that it shouldn't just be a style, it shouldn't just be a tattoo, and it shouldn't just be a hairstyle, you know? It should be a lot deeper than that. So I think there's definitely very many forms that can come in. And I know sometimes it's like a way of coping, like it's a way of not being able to be immersed in the culture, but when you're given the opportunity and you have the people there who want to help you, then you shouldn't be ignorant. You shouldn't have that bad mindset going into it, even though you rep let's say, a Confederacy belt on your neck. So, I think a lot of people need to be mindful of what they do before they act, you know? Because if you can't walk the walk, don't talk the talk.
Exactly.
Yeah, like it should be more of a journey through and through than like a one and done thing.
Exactly.
It just like, yeah, it's just when you talk about it like this, it like just brings light to I mean,
it's okay.
It just like, I don't know. Oh!
No, it calls attention. Like
yeah,
that.
it's like
you want it just for show. Like, it's disposable. You can just throw it out whenever you want.
It's only it benefits you whenever you want it.
Yeah, like it's something that. Oh, sorry.
No, you go ahead. Go ahead. No, it's fine.
Well, I just lost my train of thought.
All right. Does anybody have any finalizing statements?
Don't be a bad person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Make good choices.
Make good choices. Be mindful.
Okay. Well, that's our podcast.
That was a good episode. Good job, guys. Good job, guys. And it's really long. I hope it's not. I hope we can upload this.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Goodbye. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
listening.
Bye.
Goodbye. Goodbye. Goodbye.